What did the green grape say to the purple grape? Breathe, you idiot.
That's a 3 out of 10.
7, minimum.
I'll give it a 5. 5 out of 10.
Man, who in the hell would interrupt dad jokes? Ha! Good job, Joel. Hey guys, it's Dan, your host of Dan's Reviews, and today I'm back for another video for The Last of Us. This one's going to be doing another video talking about The Last of Us. We have made it to the Season 1 finale. This is my review for Episode 9, titled Look for the Lights. Alright guys, this one's going to be doing another review today. This one's going to be doing another review for The Last of Us. This one's going to be doing my final review for Season 1. This one is for Episode 9, which is called Look for the Lights. So, we have made it to the end of The Last of Us. Season 1 is officially a wrap, and we are here to cover the final episode of Season 1. So, hope you guys enjoyed the finale. Hope you guys enjoyed this season. Let me know in the comment section below, how did you feel about The Last of Us now that it is done? We will be doing a full season review as well, too, for Season 1, giving our in-depth thoughts, and I do want to do a full video coming up this week where we compare the video game to the TV show in full, Last of Us Part 1 versus The Last of Us Season 1. So, what did I think about this finale? I thought this was a really darn good episode. I mean, this was a really strong finish. I did have a few minor nitpicks with the episode, which I will get into, and it's more so because of how big of a game fan I am. There were a few things that I did notice, and there were a few things that I feel like they could have done better, but for the most part, I'd say like 90% of the time, this was a very, very entertaining episode, and very much on point. So, we get started with a very emotional flashback scene at the beginning of this episode where we get introduced to Ellie's mom, who is actually played by Ashley Johnson, who voiced Ellie in the Last of Us video game. So I thought that was pretty cool. And basically we get to see her. She's giving birth to Ellie. She's, fighting, trying to survive. And we see how Ellie was, brought into this world, right? And we get probably one of my biggest gripes with this entire show so far. And I have to mention it now. One infected in this entire fucking finale. Are you shitting me? Like, seriously. And I literally went through the Last of Us gameplay last night to, see what happens in the game to get a refresher, because it's been a couple years since I played it. And, yeah, when Joel and Ellie are making it through that hospital and throughout the entire final arc of that game, there are infected galore. There is clickers galore. And in the show, we get one infected, and it's in a flashback sequence. That is a major slap in the face. And it's easily my biggest gripe with this season, is the amount of infected is incredibly lacking. And honestly, I really, really wish they could have done better with that, because with the infected, when they're on screen, they are so good. It's just the amount of them that lack, So it is what it is, I guess, but I really wish that we saw more than just the one infected in a flashback sequence of all things, So, anyway, she gives birth to Ellie in the process of fighting the infected, and Marlene and the rest of them find her, and basically we get to find out that Marlene took Ellie when she was a little baby, when, literally she was just brought into this world, and she had to put down Ellie's mother and then take Ellie with her. So that's pretty tragic. That's a pretty tragic opening scene, and I thought they did a really good job of that. Now, in the current timeline, we have Ellie and Joel. They're kind of making it through. They're on their way to the hospital, to the Fireflies. And we get to see, Ellie's kind of quiet on their way there. Joel's like asking her, like, hey, when this whole thing's over, you want me to teach you how to play guitar? And she's kind of quiet about it. She's not doing so well. And we get to basically see they kind of maneuver their way through the city. We get a few, dialogue scenes here and there. And they didn't cut it, which I'm very happy they didn't cut it, is the giraffe scene from the game. Joel and Ellie find the giraffe. They find the first one, they pet it, and then they find the whole rest of them that are all, kind of down there and stuff. And it visually looked very amazing. I mean, the overall landscape of this show, as I will continue to say, is just amazingly made. But, Ellie tells Joel, like, I know you want to go back to Tommy's. I know you want to forget about this whole thing, but we went all this way. We finished what we started, and that's what it is, right? So Joel is very much connected and attached to Ellie, as we definitely see in this episode, and Pedro does a phenomenal job as always, portraying that, right? But anyway, so they're kind of on their way there, and we actually get a pretty interesting story from Joel where he does tell Ellie that he was actually considering just killing himself in that moment after he lost his daughter. But he decided ultimately not to. He said that he was ready. He never felt more ready than anything in his whole life, but he decided at the last moment because he just felt like, no, something kept him alive. Something kept him alive all this time, and I think he's finally starting to understand what it was, and that's, Ellie, right? And they're reading like dad jokes and like pun books and stuff like that, and they're kind of sharing some laughs. And then, well, unfortunately, the Fireflies run into them. Joel gets knocked out, everything goes to shit, and Ellie is taken. So Marlene, of course, when Joel wakes up, kind of tells him like, I'm grateful for what you did, I owe you everything. But Joel is very different from the last time Marlene interacted with him. He's like, hey, what are they doing with Ellie? What's going on, right? And basically she explains to him that what they're doing with her is that they're going to be able to potentially have a cure, but they have to kill Ellie. They have to take something out of her brain. And Joel, immediately hearing that, is like, no, we're not, I'm not letting Ellie die. You bring me to her now. And Marlene says, no, Joel, you're clearly out of control. She takes two of the guys and says, lead him out, far out later in the city, and, if he tries anything, shoot him. And they take him down the stairs, and I thought that this was one of the greatest scenes of The Last of Us, one of my all-time favorite scenes of the show, where Joel stops about midways down the stairway, turns around, kills one guy, of course, gets the other guy down on the ground. He asks him where Ellie is, and he's like, I don't have time for this. Bam, And with the Last of Us soundtrack, as you see Joel go through that hospital with that gun and kill every last one of these fuckers. I mean, that was so good, and Pedro did such a good job. I've been waiting for them to give us all these amazing Joel scenes from the game, and they gave us a very savage Joel for this finale. I mean, that was a home run. I mean, he was popping people all through that hospital, the music throughout, the determination to go get Ellie, and in particular with the one guy that literally surrenders and Joel just pops him anyway, I thought that was amazing. Now, here's my other nitpick with the episode, and I have two, and they're both kind of the same thing. This episode was too fucking short, okay? I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. The episode was too short because this was only a 45-minute episode, and in the game, you felt that length. You felt how long it took for Joel to get to Ellie, and how hard it was to get to Ellie and save her life in time. In the show, it was very much like, which I liked it, don't get me wrong, but he popped the people in the hospital for like a couple minutes, and then boom, he found Ellie, and they got out of there, In the game, like, you felt the urgency, you felt the rush to get to Ellie and get her out of there, and you also felt the emotion behind it, In the show, I didn't really feel that. I felt like, okay, he got Ellie out, they managed to get out. Like, I don't know. There was something about the game that was so much more captivating, Even when he goes into that room, right? And then he takes out the people that are, surrounding Ellie. He picks her up. And I remember in the game, and I don't know about y'all, but when I played the game and he picked Ellie up and he was walking out of that hospital, and you have like that soundtrack, and you've got like the red there too, and he's like walking out of there, and he gets in the elevator and he's trying to get out of there, and you got that music. I mean, it is so cinematic, it's so cinematic. And the way they did it in the show was really good. Don't get me wrong. I liked it. I thought it was good. He gets her out of there, but I was missing the emotion. I was missing the feeling you get. It's really hard to describe it in a review, but there was something about the game and the way they did it that was so much more emotional than the way they handled it in the show. And I'm telling you right now, it's the length of the episode. This was a way too short finale. If they would have added an extra like 15, 20 minutes even to this episode, I guarantee you this would have been fucking perfect. Add a few more infected and add a little bit more time to show more of the emotional side of things. I'm telling you right now, this would have been something so amazing. And it still was. It was really good, but it's not the game. And I'm going to say it's not the game. It's not as powerful as the ending of the game. Now, Here's one thing I think they adapted very well. The death of Marlene in the show was amazing. You know, we see Joel, of course, make a very selfish, you could argue, decision where there is a chance for a cure to be had. But because of how much he cares about Ellie, he's not going to let the world have a potential cure. He's going to do this for himself and not for the greater good. And Marlene even says that to Joel. Like, you know, arguably, you should let Ellie decide, because Ellie probably would let herself die so the rest of the people could, you know, have a cure and the world could, you know, have some sort of normalcy again. But that's not what Joel wants. Joel is not losing another daughter figure to him again, and that's what we see. And well, as we see him driving back there with Ellie, and as we see him get her out, as he's talking to her in the car, we get to see that he does kill Marlene, and he does put her down, and he says, "You would just come after her anyway." So he kills her, right? And that's the end of Marlene. That's the end of her in the show. I'm very happy that they stayed faithful to that. Absolutely, I'm very happy that they stayed faithful to that. And well, that's basically it. They go back to Jackson, and you know, you get some good dialogue between Joel and Ellie kind of throughout, talking about Sarah and, you know, how them two would have kind of liked each other and stuff like that. And well, you get the same ending as the game. I love that they didn't stray away from this. She's like, "Tell me that everything you said about the Fireflies is true, and, you know, swear to me that it's all true." And Joel looks at her and he's like, "Yeah, I swear. Yeah, absolutely." And that's it. And they even give you the same music as the end of the game, which I thought was really, really good. So, overall, for a season finale, for the end of the game, I would say that this is one of the things that I feel like they adapted better than a lot of other things. I would say that this episode, the only thing they needed to do is add more time, more emotion behind some of the scenes where he's getting Ellie out of the hospital. I really feel like they should have focused on that more. And mixed with, you know, how much time in the episode. And yeah, more infected. Absolutely. So I'm going to drop a 9 out of 10. I really liked the finale. I really thought it was good. I have nitpicks with it. I know I'm really, really going into them, but I feel like with just a few adjustments, this would have been a perfect finale. But it was good enough. It was a good attempt at the end of the first game. That's what I would say about it. And Pedro did a phenomenal job in this episode. Bella, I thought, did a really good job. But yeah, I just feel like it was overall missing a little bit of emotion. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. 9 out of 10 for the finale. We will be doing a full season review for The Last of Us coming up really soon, so stay tuned for that. But that is it for this review, guys. Thank you all so much for watching this video. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed this video for The Last of Us, make sure to click the subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos. And of course, make sure to follow me on Dan's Reviews Official to get more videos on The Last of Us during the break from Season 1 to Season 2. And I will see you guys really soon for more videos of The Last of Us. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and peace out.